Do it again, Jake. Jake, come out here and show them what you got here. Dude, exactly. Nailed it. I'm Rich.
I'm Frank.
And it's People, Pints, and Possibilities.
Yeah.
All right, we are in beautiful Paso Robles, California. Welcome to the People, Pints, Possibilities podcast. We have a special guest, Joel Peterson over here.
Thank you. Happy to be here. So stoked.
Dude, I'm
excited.
Pumped. When you hear this guy's intro, it doesn't sound real. First of all, he starts off, he says it's not a big deal. His family's been here from the 40s, but that doesn't really go back very far.
And I'm the dabbler.
Yeah, he's the dabbler, and I am the Vibe Titan, and Joel is just...
Joel. JP.
JP.
Well, JP. Joel.
We heard his friends, his nickname. The reason we go nicknames is only the people who know you really well call you by your nickname.
Yeah.
So somebody says, hey, JP.
All my college buddies. It's someone calls me. It's someone I went to college with, probably. Yeah.
They know you.
Yeah.
All right. So JP's in the house. His bio, like I said, his family came here from the 40s. His grandmother has a school named after her, Virginia Peterson.
Pretty cool.
Great school. That's pretty damn
Very
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
He's been marketing beer and wine in Paso Robles, if you're out there, for 20 years. Off and on, everywhere, at all the major places. And then on top of that, he is involved in the community every which way. Current school board member, has been involved in the planning commission, Norma Moy stories, you name it, tons of community stuff. And you just got a name change, a title change. You're the CEO of the Wine Alliance.
CEO, Wine Alliance. Yeah.
Oh, God. I have two CEOs right now.
know.
Yeah, buddy. And most importantly, a beautiful wife, Dagny, who's a good friend of ours, and two lovely ladies at home, 17
and 20.
and 20.
Yeah, pretty
Wow.
cool. Yeah.
And
Holy cow.
and he also has his own podcast, Frank.
Impressed.
Yeah, no, all right. So I guess we'll just leave the show now, and Joel's ready to go.
Yeah.
I don't have a brewery or
We
really cool logo.
apologize for our podcast skills.
Well, welcome in. We're
Thank
glad
you.
to have
Cheers.
you.
Salute.
Cheers,
Yeah,
brother.
cheers.
Yeah,
Salute.
heck yeah.
awesome. Stoked to be on. I've been watching it for a little bit now on the socials, and I listened to a full episode this morning. I was like, you guys doing a good job. No, it's fun.
Oh, thank you.
Dude, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
we
we're
got 8 listeners.
Yeah.
doubled. Oh, wait till you hear the new one. We're starting a new thing where the people who come on just roast us, and we had Jenna Kajunjic on.
Oh, she's fun.
She's going to come out right before this, and she smoked us. Like we didn't give her no notice. So think of something funny at the end if you want to make fun of us. Well, it'll be a good time.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
She got us pretty good.
but speechless. She did great.
Wow.
Yeah,
Some
destroyed us.
people have a skill of like roasting people, and because they're quick on their feet and they just know your weak spots.
That's Frank.
And I don't. I'm just like, I always think of it like the next day. I'm like, oh, I should have said that.
No, you know
Driving
why?
home, you're like,
Yeah.
God dang it, I
I
should
know.
have said that.
You know why? Because we're actually nice people, and we don't take every little thing like Frank does and put it in his back pocket.
A little
for
rock
use.
to throw later.
Yeah. Hey, what is it, Uno? I would like you to draw 4. Yeah, anything he can use against you, not only does he categorize it, he has it ready to just...
I love it.
So that is a skill I don't have either, although sometimes I can cut you with words.
Yeah.
Do you come from a family where you guys do that? Like,
No.
Did your family
no,
cut each other?
I think I just have a knack for telling the truth, man. Just right. And I'm okay. Like, if you want to tell it to me, I kind of enjoy the punishment of like people saying you suck at this. Then I'm like, okay, I'll show you. So
He tries occasionally.
yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Oh, well, welcome in, Joel. We're happy to have you, man. We're pumped.
Stoked to be here.
People, pints, possibilities are our core values. So beer brings us together, but the people keep us coming back. And, you have the people part. You have a really, really interesting history.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up all over the country, so I think that's a cool aspect to have. It's funny because I've raised my daughters here in Paso, and we've lived in the same house pretty much since day one, and they've never experienced like moving schools or changing teachers and finding new friends. But my dad was in construction, and he was a project manager for a big construction firm, so we moved around a lot. And I lived in, by the time I graduated high school, 8 different cities, I think 6 different states, and so family's huge to me. I had 2 brothers, and we're super tight to this day. We talk to my brothers every week, multiple times. And so family's huge to have, like, kids. If you're looking for the new kid to play with on the playground, or who to hang out with, you just got your family, and then until you make new friends. So,
And they call,
Yeah.
I mean, people think of you as just an ultimate communicator. Like you get along with people. So that early upbringing of just switching around, switching schools, like
Yeah.
you think that.
I think
that
it
helped mold
definitely
you?
had an aspect, yeah, because you got to, you got to make that connection of what's going to, okay, why does this kid want to play with me on the playground? I got to be in Hot Wheels or GI Joes or whatever that is, or basketball. And so I think just having it's a skill I learned, I think, because my mom and dad were good at it, and they made me good at it. We had to go find like new churches to go to, and like I was in like 3 or 4 different Cub Scouts and Boy Scout troops, and so it just I love it, and now I love it because I can walk into a room and make friends with anybody, and it's fun. And there's always we can always find connection. I mean, even in this crazy political time of like national politics of like, I don't care, like let's just have a conversation.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do, is have the conversation about what,
Relationships.
So,
It's
yeah.
funny you say that because guys like us, obviously we could talk forever and Frank could just leave. But we want to keep him here.
Yes.
But we've had plenty of conversations. When I say people like us, we're really into other people. So sometimes you don't have like an ultimate opinion, and they take that the wrong way sometimes. They're like, oh, you don't stand for this issue, or you're not. No. I'm just trying to actually hear everyone out, right?
Yeah.
And maybe I was the same. I went 5 elementary schools in 5 years because my dad built golf courses.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe now that you say that, we just learned how to roll into class and be like, all right, what's the deal here?
Yeah.
How does this thing work?
Same for me. Yeah, just moving around a lot and making new friends. And I spent a lot of time in Paso when I was a kid because when we'd move, mom and dad would usually ship us kids to Paso and like, hey, spend 2 or 3 or 4 weeks in Paso. We're going to move. We move from Atlanta to Arizona, or Arizona to Colorado. And so we'd come to Paso, hang out with grandma and grandpa, and then we'd go back to the new house in the new town and make new friends. So that's why Paso means a lot to me, because I spent a lot of town here as I was a kid. Yeah.
Did your grandparents, so they come in the 40s, do you know the reason for that? Did
Oh
your
yeah,
parents
it's a cool
kinda tell
story.
you?
So my grandpa was working for the Bank of America. Well, actually, it was called Bank of Italy back then, and he was living in the Dakotas, and he took a ad in the paper and took it to San Francisco. Got to San Francisco and they said, hey, we're opening a bank in Paso Robles. So he took a train from San Francisco down to Paso Robles, and he lived in the building there that's on the corner that Dow owns now, but it's only the only 3-story building in downtown Paso.
Yes, it is.
He lived in a cot there the first 2 or 3 months he lived here by himself because the grandma hadn't even come out here yet. He loved it. He fell in love with Paso Robles. They made him the bank manager, the area manager of Bank of America. Sent a telegram back to grandma. He's like, pack up, move out to Paso, and she moved out here. That was 1940, and my dad was born here in 43, and so we've had the Peterson family's been here since then. But it's just I think my grandma and grandpa came here probably in the 40s, and they were like, this place is cool,
Yeah.
And they got involved with that. My grandpa was in Rotary, and my grandma was involved in everything. I mean, she was in Rainbow Girls and the church, and retired. Well, she was a teacher. She became the first librarian at the Camp Roberts. I mean, she did so much cool stuff. She founded the Historical Society with Norma Moy. I mean, that's back when the women ran this town, man.
I think they still do.
Yeah,
definitely.
They
Yeah,
run
that
this
Martha.
brewery.
Yeah.
So hold on, touch on that.
Sorry.
So your grandparents were, and we're gonna get to your grandma, who was just a rock star. Not that your grandfather wasn't.
Yeah.
They were a big influence in you, though. What do you
Yeah.
think what were those things that they instilled in you? Not that your parents did it,
Yeah.
but you said they were kind of.
They
the
did.
front.
My grandma was just such an extraordinary woman, and if anyone ever met Virginia Peterson or knew her legacy, I mean, she was is above and beyond always. And so if someone asked you for something, it was yes, and who else can I do? And I mean, she took a huge part in raising my brothers and I. And my mother leaned into that. My mom was like, "Man, she's an amazing mother. Why can't she help out?" And I have two awesome parents who did a great job. But having my grandma, my grandpa passed on. He passed when I was 10. So, but she really, I mean, she came to everything. She'd fly up, whether I was living in Washington State or Colorado. She'd fly up for graduation. She'd fly up for like Eagle Scout ceremonies. She'd fly up for, if mom and dad wanted to take a vacation, she'd watch us. She took us to Disneyland, and it was pouring rain. Like, just so many things where we got a school project. Let's get through it. And then it really would take effect when I was in college, because I was going to school in Tucson. I went to college, University of Arizona. Go Wildcats! Bear down.
Go Wildcats!
Number one. So I would call my grandma because she was a night owl, and I'd be working on paper, and at a certain point, your mom and dad aren't awake at midnight, but grandma always was, and so I'd call grandma. We'd talk through things, and I just wanted to check in with her, and so I just had this cool connection where I'd call my grandma a lot, and then I later on lived in Los Angeles, and we started driving up to Paso and spending time with her, and she just was a huge inspiration in my life. She founded the Paderewski Festival, which I later became involved in. She was involved in schools, which is why my wife was like, used to run for school board because grandma was so involved and you're passionate about kids. So there's just a lot of things I harken back to in terms of my life of just being involved in the community stems back to my grandma.
And you have to be a pretty darn remarkable person to get a school named after you.
Yeah, I mean, there's only like 6 elementary schools, and so she's one of the 6. It's a cool tradition in Paso, is the name. And the cool thing is like at her funeral, like behind me was like Pat Butler and like Kermit King. So like the living legends who have schools named after them they were all friends. I mean, Pat Butler was the organist at our church. Like, how cool is that? So, she founded the Historical Society. She was an educator or a principal for 45, 50 years, and just gave back to kids, and she tutored kids, and she just gave back. And I think this town recognizes that, and they honor them, which I think is cool. I mean, it'd be cool going to a school named like George Washington or Thomas Jefferson, but how cool is it named after someone who shaped your town?
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and I would say she's definitely proud of you because you're kicking ass and carrying on the family name and your investment in the community and the things that you're doing as well. So they're greatly appreciated by people like us, that's for sure. And that wraps it up. That's how Joel became who he is.
Yeah.
I can actually see why you're the way you are just from that story. We've talked so many times. That's a pretty amazing human being right there. But that's not the end of it. Hold on. You touched on the Wildcats. Totally off topic, but Craig would be pissed that Joel's on here first because obviously he's a Sun Devil.
Oh, no way.
He was a Sun Devil. Yeah, and we got the Wildcats on here. It's a big year right now. The Wildcats are men's
basketball, number 1 in the country, 21-0, having a great year. We're in the Big 12 now, which is, they switched the conferences up, but we're having a great year. I mean, we did unanimous number 1 for 4 weeks in a row now. So
How did you get to Arizona? You just picked Arizona out of a hat, or how?
I was going to high school in Spokane, Washington. Spokane's great, but it rains a lot. There's like definitely winter Northwest, and I got into University of Oregon. I got into University of Arizona, and my dad and I flew down there to kind of check it out. We were on campus for like 5 minutes, and we were just like, I guess I'm going here. It was just beautiful.
This is badass.
Beautiful buildings, beautiful people.
Yeah,
the weather was great.
Yeah, I could wear
And,
shorts.
Yeah, my dad was like,
tan.
This
They
is
were
pretty
all
cool.
tan.
Yeah, it was just great. So it was a great 4 years. Yeah.
And what year did you go? What years?
I
were
was
you there?
in U of A from 91 to 95.
And what's cool, I know because I follow you on the gram, and we're friends as well.
Yeah.
But you do a trip every year,
Almost
to watch
every year. I mean,
basketball?
it's
You
changed
try.
because of the Big 12 conference, but my buddies and I all went to the Pac-12 conference in Vegas for like eight out of 9 years. It was so fun. We'd just go to Vegas and watch basketball games and catch up and have dinners and just kind of reminisce on old times. But now that we were in the Big 12 with Kansas and all the big guys, we're going to try and get out to Kansas City at some point and see that. So,
But the NCAA tournament, you will be there at some point.
oh my gosh,
at a game.
this year I hope so. Yeah, I think the regionals are going to be in San Jose, so I'd like to get up for that. So yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
So you, growing up, any other mentors or anything in that early stage? Kind of through college, high school.
Yeah, my dad, a big influence in my life. He had three boys, and we did a lot of. We had always had a boat growing up, and so we weren't like a huge outdoor family. But we had a boat, and so my dad grew up skiing Lake Nacimiento, and so when we were living in Idaho and in Washington State, we also had a ski boat, and so we'd ski on the weekends and wakeboard and bring our friends out there, and just it was cool just to have like that time with your dad. Because same thing, you didn't have a lot of friends, or if you wanted to make friends, you could invite them on the boat for the weekend, and so just stuff like that. I mean, and then just
There's something about the lake life. I grew up at Shasta Lake up in Redding, and there's no distractions out there. It's you, your parents, your friends, campfires, whatever, tents, whatever you're doing, water skiing. We water skied back then, by
same.
the way,
That's
right?
right. Yeah, we water skied.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
No,
it's
I know.
disappeared. It's
What
like an
is that?
ancient.
Everyone's like, you want to wakeboard? I'm like, I don't know how to wakeboard.
No,
same thing. I snow ski. I don't snowboard. I snow ski.
The fancy kids now, they fill up the sacks and do all the stuff.
I know.
Jeez. But the lake life is pretty cool. It does definitely bond people, and
you kind of become like a problem solver a little bit. Like you figure out how to tie knots and like figure out, I'm not some mechanic, but I mean, you can figure out little basic engine problems. Is the bilge pump working? Like you kind of just got to figure out how to back up a trailer. Just like life lessons that are good,
You have to.
Yeah.
No one is out there doing it for you. Right. He missed the whole knot thing when he did the lake thing, though.
yeah, no,
I'm not sure what he did.
My best
Bungee
knot
cords or
is when you tie a knot and then you tie another knot on top of that and you tie another knot. Yeah,
And then the next person's like, who did this?
yeah. Oh, we're cutting this. Yeah, no.
because water and tension, they go really well with 12 knots in a row.
Totally.
Oh, all right. So let's talk about Florence.
Yeah. So then my junior year, I took abroad. My junior year, I went to Florence, Italy. I knew at that point, my cousin had gone to Italy, and she kind of convinced me to take a year abroad. And my best friend from high school was going to go, and so we took a year, and it was just this incredible year. It kind of changed my life. I went to Florence. I fell in love with wine, culture, art history, the language, everything. And then I met my wife. I met Dagny. She was my girlfriend at that time, and we dated on and off for years, and got married 10 years later. But just wine, and it just sparked with me. I just met great people in Italy, and you just went.
It's beautiful.
Life kind of slows down a little bit, and you learn about history and the language and why they make wine and why they drink wine. And I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Been around for a while.
And so when I came back, I graduated with a degree in film and television. I moved to Hollywood, and I did that for a while. And it was fun. I loved working in film and television, but I always wanted to get into wine. And so at that point, I was coming up visiting grandma and in Paso, and Paso was starting to take off. And there was, little wineries like Eberly and Peachy Canyon and Justin. And I was like, these are cool. I'd like to work for a winery. And so at that point, I was like writing letters to wineries in Italy. This is before the internet, obviously. Mm-hmm. And no one would write me back. I'm like, I want to pick grapes in Italy. And hard no. I got no responses. So,
but that shows you the type of commitment you have.
Yeah.
Right. Like, hey, most people say, hey, I'd really love to do wine in Italy. Very few people sit down and put pen to paper and send it out.
I learned a lot of letters. And then internet was coming out, and I was like sending the emails, but like I don't think the emails were ever getting seen by anyone.
And your emails had to start before with
totally dial up.
I don't want to skip over a nugget. Yeah. Did you say you dabbled in television?
Yeah. So I did film and television. My first job in television was I was on a movie called Tin Cup with Kevin Costner.
Okay.
They shot that in Tucson my senior year of college.
Tin Cup. Oh, you got the shanks.
Yeah.
He goes, I got the shanks. He goes, what do I do? He goes, take all your change and put it in your other pocket, your left pocket. Put your keys in your back pocket. Remember, there's like a whole scene.
Yeah.
And I tell that to people when they're messed up. I'm like, you got the shanks, dude. Switch all your stuff in your pockets.
Other pocket.
Immediately.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it was fun. I was just, I was getting coffee for, I say I was getting coffee for Kevin Costner. I did at sometimes, but I was I was office PA. I only worked a couple hours a week, but it was really cool. And then I went, and then my brother, who was living in Los Angeles at the time, knew some people in production. He got me a job, so I moved to Hollywood, and I started working on films. The first movie I worked on in Hollywood, we actually had Josh Brolin in it, which is pretty cool because Josh is from Templeton.
Yeah, he's on fire, man.
But it's funny because it was called Night Watch, and it had Ewan McGregor and Josh Brolin. It was like a psychological thriller, and but it's ironic that I've met Josh a few times since he's been back, and I was like, I worked in that movie back then. And, it was like 25 years ago, but.
So
cool.
I remember you.
Did he remember you?
No, he didn't remember me.
Is he one of those Hollywood people who just snubs everyone, or is he?
No,
he's
cool? Super cool. We should get Josh on the podcast,
dude. If you could, he probably hates people like me because I'd be like, good enough. If I could wrap him up in the spring that he was like bench, I don't know what he was doing in the Goonies, but he was doing the thing and then his brother wrapped him up. And
that's right.
Yeah.
No, the cool story. I was at.
He's been in some badass movies.
And the cool thing is like my kids know who he is because he was in like some of the Marvel movies. I think he was like Thanos or something. So we were at Pioneer Day Parade 2 years ago, and I was going to the Pioneer Day Parade, and it's awesome. We're sitting there watching, and I looked down like. Next to me, like two families next to me, and it's Josh and his wife and his kids
just hanging out,
watching the Pioneer. I was like, "That's Josh Brolin just at the Pioneer Day Parade chilling." No one was bothering him.
That's badass.
He's just chilling.
That's so cool.
That was so cool. Yeah,
that's cool.
That's Paso.
Yeah, that's Paso. And I was gonna go talk to him, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna go talk to him because he just wants to enjoy his family. Like it was cool.
Yeah, he's just hanging out.
Yeah.
Where else do you see 3,000 tractors going down the
street?
I know.
Just destroying the street. We brought the Paso people. We brought the Pioneer Day people in. They said that's not true. No, they protect it. You have to preserve that stuff. We talked about it. That's a part of what we all do is like being invested. And Frank, even in Cayucas, they have their own traditions, but this area, these are the last little towns that have held on to things like Pioneer Day or the 4th of July parade in Cayucas. And if you, because we'll talk about the school board, if you give up and let up on it at all, it will disappear.
Yeah. Well, and you know why what matters is because now my kids are older. They want to come back because they have such good memories and they want to bring friends. They're like, oh my God, you got to come to Paso. We have this thing called Pioneer Day. And they're like, what? And like, they bring like their college friends back here to experience it. and there's like 10,000 tractors and horses and dancing horses, and it smells
blows
like
your mind.
But it just like it's so uniquely cool. So,
it is.
Yeah.
Well, we have a brewery where horses come in and the cowboys get a beer on top
that's so
of the
cool.
horse.
I always watch that.
It's crazy, huh?
So.
All right, draw the line from you're in Hollywood, you decide not to stay there. You come back to Paso?
Yeah, I was doing films and I was doing cool stuff. I got to, I worked with Donnie Most. I worked at Miramax for a long time. I worked at MTV. But I just at something, it wasn't like filling me. It was a fun job, and I loved it because it's a lot of it's a lot of action and intensity and long nights. But I was like, I want to live in a small town because I was raised in small towns around the U.S. I wanted to buy a house and raise a family. And I looked around, and the people in my life, they didn't have all those things lined up. They didn't have this like the home life and this kind of relationship balance of where they could be involved. And again, I love Hollywood, and I miss it, but Paso made sense to Dagny and I, and we said, let's move up to Paso. And so we finished one last movie and came up here. I worked Harvest of '01 for Justin Vineyards and Winery, which was awesome. And I convinced the winemaker at the time to hire me. He didn't even want to hire me. He's like, you're a Hollywood kid. You don't know how to work hard. And I was like, no, I'll work for free. So I worked for free, Harvest of '01. 9/11 happened. At that point, I was like, I'm going to ask my girlfriend to marry me. We got married in '02.
Did Dagny know about that?
Sorry, my girlfriend who was Dagny.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Let's just
that's what he
clarify
does.
that.
See, he was holding on to that one.
good.
He
That's
had it in
good.
his pocket. He did.
And then I moved here in Harvest of '03 and worked for some really cool people. Stefan Aseo at L'Aventure. I worked for Gary Eberly in the caves over there, Eberly. And then Austin Hope hired me. Austin Hope and his GM Dennis Collins hired me. And they, I think, but going back to people, like those are people who just shaped who I was, and they shaped me. They shaped giving me responsibility. And hey, do you want to help run marketing? I'm like, all right, I can figure that out. I didn't have all the tools and all the skill sets yet, but figured it out, and they helped me do it. So
hold on, I'm going to tag into that. You said two things that I had to remember to hold on to. The trajectory is number one. Like I love people's trajectory of we're all sitting here on this stage, and you could have been successful in Hollywood, and knowing you like I do, you would have done great. You knew that, huh?
Yeah,
you had a
sure.
feeling.
Yeah,
but it's something inside of you said that purpose wasn't there. It was that fulfilling, and you were willing to take a risk and make a change.
Yeah, no, and I mean that's the thing is like I was making pretty good money too. Like
I know
I
it.
bet.
And
You could have been the next Jason Bourne.
Yeah, right.
I would have watched.
But that number one, and then number two is so then you go from that job. This is kind of the missing link that I love reading about people, and is then you show up to Paso and now you're nobody again, right? And they don't even think you can work hard. And
exactly.
Instead of having a chip on your shoulder and saying, "Don't you know me? I was a big deal where I came from." They say at Hope, "Hey, you can work for free," and you say, "Absolutely,
let's do it." Yeah, so. Yeah, that was at Justin, and then I went over to Hope, and Dennis Collins.
Oh, that was
hired
at
me.
Justin. Sorry,
and so Dennis Collins hired me. I interviewed with him, and I interviewed with Austin, and he's like, "I like you. I want to hire you, but I don't have anything for you yet." And so I'm like, "No problem." So I went and took a job with Gary Eberly in the caves over there for a couple weeks, and then I got a call about a month later, and he said, "We want to hire you, and we don't know what we want you to do yet. We like you. We like your resume. We'll just figure it out." And I was like,
Trust.
that's cool. And so the funny thing is I was working like in the kitchen at that time because they didn't have an office for me. And like half the people thought I was like the IT guy. And half the guys thought I was like grower relations.
Seen my stapler?
Totally to my stapler.
Best position ever.
No one knew kind of what I did. And then I worked my way into the marketing department, and I did that for a couple of years. And then the communications director left, and they did a search to find who to be the communications director. And then Austin and Gretchen came to me, and then they're like, "Yeah, we think you should do this job." And I'm like, "Okay, I don't know how to do it." And they're like, "We'll figure it out. You've been here for 2 or 3 years. You're doing a great job. You can become the communications director." And so that's the thing about people investing in people, right? They said, "We're going to give you the tools, and we're going to back you up, and we're going to support you." And so that launched my wine career really from just kind of helping out, writing, doing marketing stuff. I helped get their first Facebook account. I mean, all the back social media was just starting back in 05, 06. Wow. And then I was writing grape contracts. I was doing everything. I was just helping out in the winery as they were growing. And then Austin had this really cool idea for a brand called Troublemaker, which now is this national brand, successful. We flew around the country, launched Troublemaker. We helped Liberty School become successful, and we launched several brands. And just working for a brand like Austin, who just is a visionary, for someone who just has massive ideas. I would help kind of help them figure out how to do it. And what's the back label got to say, and how much are we going to make, and where are we going to sell it, and what's the tagline going to be? So things like that. It's been fun.
And there's a lot of trust there because, once again, if the ego gets in the way and people say, hey, we got a job for you, we don't know what we want you to do. If you guys don't trust each other, you're like, no, I'm not signing up for something that, you're not telling me, making it clear. Because if you have a fear of failure, you're never going to take something that you don't even know what the goal is.
And you got to be transparent about what you do know, what you don't know. You can say, I think we should do this. I don't know if I'm right, but I think we should do this. And then you get to the people who have that same feeling, but let's all sign off on it. Let's work hard to get there, and let's do it together. It usually works.
What did you learn? Let's go through those people because you just hit some heavy hitters there. Give me a gem from each one of those stops that you learned something, or something that you took from each one of those. Just thinking back on the whole thing.
Well, working with Austin and Gretchen and the team at Hope Family was just incredible, and I think launching Troublemaker was a lot of fun because they gave me the reins to do some fun stuff, and so we made this video. And it was an Office parody. The Office was kind of big at that point. And I'll have to show you guys. We did
it's Martha's favorite.
We did this great Office parody, and we kind of launched it. And we made a joke that like Troublemaker was a joke, that it wasn't supposed to be made. And someone overheard him saying how much wine to make and what it was going to be like. And so we did this funny, kind of like how The Office is like, Michael from The Office and the miscommunications and the marketing plan. So we did that, and that was fun to go around and show that to distributors around the country. And just to do stuff that was so unique at that time of like, wait, you're going to launch a wine brand with like a comedy routine and be super irreverent. Yeah, and now it's pretty common to do that in wine. But I think in 2008, 2009, that was not very common, So that's just fun to have people kind of give you the trust to say that's going to be a lot of fun. And then,
well, the ability to not take yourself too serious.
Yeah.
Is an important one, right? Because there's too many people that think that they're just the shit out there in the world, and they're
especially in the wine world, where it's like, I mean, it's great to have like this reverence for the history, and that's incredible. But at the same time, like people, it's as Justin Smith always says, it's like it's fruit that it's fermenting fruit. It's grape juice. Yeah, and you ferment it into wine, and that's got to be that fun experiential part of it, and which I think has helped Paso set itself apart in some ways. I mean, we don't rely on the history too much. We talk about the history, we honor it, but it's really about the future here and innovation and what makes it, what's so fun about coming into Paso, who you're going to meet and things like that. So that's what I learned that from those guys, and I took it, and I've worked other places as well. But I mean, that really helped me. And then even going back to other people, I was like Norma Moy. Like when I moved here, I wanted to get involved, and I went into Norma's office because she knew my grandma, and she's like, hey, you should join Main Street, go on the design review committee. So I did that for a year. And then there was an opening on the planning commission, and she's like, "You better apply, planning commission. We need some new people on the planning commission." I applied.
Keep taking jobs you're not qualified for and kicking ass.
I mean, you didn't tell Norman. You didn't tell Norman no. I was like, all right. And so I was on the planning commission for like a couple of years, and that was cool. And so I think it's about people knowing that you can do a good job, and then kind of telling them they'll support you.
And you just keep leveling up, and you're just kind of taking on any task. And then obviously, there's like this beautiful part of like when good intentions meet results. And so at some point, like people like you, and that gets you in the door, right? Then you get a title, that gets you something. But unless you can achieve results, you're done. Yeah. And so you must have been getting results everywhere you went, because people wouldn't want you.
Well, I think they liked me, but you got to show up and you work hard, and you guys do that. You run a brewery. You can't just not show up. Beer doesn't make itself.
Through. No, you got to follow through.
That beer make itself like
not at all.
Yeah. So show up and have a good time doing it. And that's one thing I learned from those guys. And I left Hope Family Wines and worked for Stacy Jacob over at Soltera Strategies. Had an awesome time there. I was there 3 years. We worked on all kinds of cool stuff. We did World of Pinot Noir. We worked with Halter Ranch. We worked at Adelaida. We worked for a wine region up north in Placerville. And so just like I learned other cool skill sets of like, regional management association and marketing and press release writing and how to do a fam trip. So people take a chance on you, and you just keep working, and it's like the more skills you have, the more marketable you're going to be.
Dude, you're adding tools to the tool belt everywhere you're going, right? Yeah. You're like, oh, that's a hammer. I'll take that. Yep. Level. Yeah. Thank you.
And then I got to know Jamie Smith a little bit. He was the head of marketing over at Firestone Walker 805.
We know Jamie. He sends tons of people our way. Yeah, he's a great guy.
He had a big team. He was a big team at marketing over there. There was 805. There was Firestone Walker, and he needed someone to help run his team, and I did that. That was a fun 2-year gig at Firestone Walker to get to know. I mean, Adam, I always say the best thing about working there was meeting Adam and David. David Walker, Adam Firestone, just really cool people, inspirational, strategic thinkers. big vision,
Yeah.
And then that was just fun because I got to run like national campaigns, like, help run national campaigns. They had Troy and Jamie there doing 805, and it was just like 805 was just blowing up. There was like, let's do a surf campaign, let's do this campaign, let's do motorbike campaign. It was just like the coolest stuff, like making films. And at that point, I mean, you guys have a pretty cool brewery, but imagine like your marketing budget being millions of dollars, right? Like,
That's crazy. Martha would, I think she'd fall over. I don't know.
I'd be on the marketing team.
But they
sure.
did a great job with what they did. I think
look at 805. I mean, it's just such it's like synonymous with the Central Coast and
a
surfing
lifestyle.
and hard work and ag and just the things that they've done is so cool. So it's just, that was a really neat opportunity in my life to work for a brand that just had, again, 50 states.
Oh, they crushed it.
Multiple countries.
Most people in the valley don't even know the area code here, but they know 805.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You tell them 805, they're all, Firestone?
Yeah.
No, it's actually the area code.
Well, and it encompasses a region, like you said, a lifestyle of people. And some of our favorite breweries in California are all that. That's why to be honest, California Coast Beer Company was from the Sierra Nevada feel of like, man, it just made me think of, I used to live in Redding and I used to go over and like we said, we'd abalone dive in Fort Bragg. And there's just the North Coast, and then Thanasi, one of our investors, is a surfer from Ventura. My grandmother lived in Oxnard there, Port Hueneme right by the beach. Frank lives in Cayucas. And we're like, man, we just love California Coast. And we kind of thought it was like a placeholder for like a real name. We tried to come up with like Crossbuck Railroad Brewing, all this stuff. And they were horrible. And we just left it. Yeah. And we thought, we'll just be this small brewery. And now when we go to the Brewers Association,
right?
People look at us so pissed that we have that name.
I know. Remember you told me, and I was like, "How'd you get that name? Dude, it's available." I was like, "You got California Coast Brewing Company,
dude." We learned something. Well,
sure did.
There could be another one because here's the thing: you don't own the word California,
right?
You don't own the word coast, and no one can own the word beer. So there it is, I guess. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because we went with beer because Craig told us brewing companies were being saturated because at the time coffee shops were using brewing. There was a lot of marketing strategy behind that. And Craig said, be a beer company because that represents the craft that you make, what you make. And so we called it beer company. And now we've seen a lot of those breweries start to move away. And your friends over at Firestone are a California beer company. They're different, though. They're different.
We're the California.
Hey, we got to get them on here. We got to get them on here. Hey, and the funny part is in beer, we're so tiny. We're just any blip on the radar, we're happy to be. You know what I mean? People are like, hey, they have your name. Well, the name is kind of common. I don't know if you know.
Right.
California is just usable.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's if you look it up, California, Central Coast, California beer, there's 10,000 companies or something.
I know, there's so many.
But the bear with Riley's help, right? And the icon, so you see the marketing.
Is so cool, yeah.
It is.
That was fun listening to the episode you had with Riley talking about brand. I mean, that's it.
He's sharp.
And you guys are the brand, though. That's what he gave us getting you guys to, was what is the brand? It's it's more than just the beer that you create.
Mm-hmm.
What's the vibe you feel? What's it like talking to you guys when you come in here?
Yeah, absolutely. And so all that led you to your job that you have. I didn't even know how you get in charge of all these wineries, but you're in charge of them.
Yeah, it's funny. I tell this story. I always wanted this job. I was working for Austin Hope, and we were working with the Wine Alliance, and Stacey Jacob was the executive director, and she was a badass, and she was really good at her job. And I always thought, that's a cool job. You get to work with all the wineries and all the growers and all the other people and just market the region. That's cool. And I just had it in my back pocket. So, I knew at some point down the road that would be a possibility, because that's when you're talking about vision and goals. That was just, I saw that when I wasn't qualified in 2005 to know how to do that, but I knew from 2005 on, that was something I wanted to do. And I built relationships based on, I didn't build relationships to do that, but I knew that would be a really good skill to have, and it would be a good thing to have. So everything I did from then on, I was like, when this job comes open, I'm going to apply. And in 2018, the executive director at that time had been here, and she did a great job. She left, and the role was open, and I had 3 people call me, and he said, the job's open. You're going to apply? And I applied, and I got the job. So it was just in some ways, I think it's fortuitous, but I think a combination of manifesting it, of saying, I want to have that job one day, but people also saying like, oh, Joel would be good at that job. So I think you got to have both those things line up.
Can you do me a favor? I'm not a super smart man. What is the Wine Alliance?
Oh yeah. So the Wine Country Alliance is their official trade and marketing association for the regional association for the wineries of Paso Robles, AVA. We have about 500 members. The easiest way to explain it is like we're the chamber of commerce of the wine community. So we've got about 200 wineries, about 50 growers, and then another 250 associate members. And that includes everyone from Calco's Brew Company to lenders, to graphic artists, people who sell corks and barrels and labels, and restaurants, lodging partners, hotels. So it's this community where we support the industry and we help from an advocacy standpoint. We have 4 pillars. Advocacy, that's mainly making sure that we can do business, and that whether that's protecting our laws and working with governments to make sure we can do that. Marketing and communications, huge part of what we do. That's the main thing we do. Is we have a podcast, our website, our app, all the things that we do to get people to Paso Robles. Member relations, and that's really just making sure members feel supported, put on education for them, and making sure they've got a place to go and they feel supported, and how can they get better at, whether that be making wine or growing better grapes or writing better emails or serving better hospitality. And then trade relations is our 4th pillar. So trade relations is making sure we're talking to wine buyers, sommeliers, wine professionals, and making sure that they know what Paso stands for and what sets us apart. So those 4 things is what we do, and we've got a really cool team. We've got 6 of us on the team, and you came to our gala last night, and it
was amazing.
Yeah, it's a neat organization. We've got a great team. It's got about a 30-year history. 40. We've had a wine festival for just over 40 years, but in 1993, the PRWCA was founded, and it's a nonprofit. It's 501c6. So nice. It's a trade and marketing organization.
Where does the funding come from for your seed money for that group?
Great question. So it's most of it, or just over half of it, is membership dues. So it's voluntary, which is pretty cool because consider about 95% of the wineries pay in to be in part of this. So you pay more if you make more wine, and you pay less if you make less wine. And then that's about half the dues. And then we have grants. So CDFA, so California Department of Food and Ag, gives us a grant to do some specialty crop marketing. We do events, which gives us some money. We have a small contract with the city, and that's basically the funding right there. It's about $2 million, give or take, every year. And it's just really fun. We get worked with the best people in Paso, whether they work for a big winery, a family-owned legacy brand that's been here for 40 years, like Peachy Canyon or Castordo or Eberly, or the brand new guys, which is really fun. All the new guys who are starting making 2 barrels, 4 barrels, 10 barrels. So everyone in between.
That's awesome. You're the one-stop shop for these wineries.
Yeah. And if they and we're something different to everyone. So some of the big wineries say, hey, I want to make sure we're known in wine lists and trade relations. Can you really get us in front of the critics, or can you get us talking to buyers from Whole Foods? Great, we can do that. But if it's a small guy who says, hey, I want to be on the map, and I want to be on your app, and can I be in your podcast? That helps too. So we have to serve as a different role for different wineries.
And that's not easy to do.
That's great.
That's not.
No.
Well, I'll tell you, I have 250 wineries. I mean, I have 250 bosses.
Yeah, you have people doing $100 million in wine, or and you have people doing 400,000.
Absolutely, and I have to treat them equally. Some point, because it's like the guy who says, I want to join. It's $1,000 to join. That's the cost of a barrel. Like, I'm either going to join the alliance or buy one less barrel. Okay, well, let's have that conversation. Is the barrel more important? Then do that. Or the winery who's making 1.4 million cases of wine and who says, this is a big check. What are you going to do for me? So,
yeah, and you're trying to satisfy all those.
Exactly.
You got high maintenance, low maintenance, and everything in the middle, right?
It's fun, though, man. I love. I tell you,
what a great group of people.
It's good people, and this, we all live in Paso, but just the wine community is special. They get along, and they support each other, and it's not just cliche. It happens. I give you everyday examples of it.
I don't know if you did this on purpose because you didn't know. Did you know I was coming to the event?
No, I didn't.
Oh, because you gave tickets through the chamber.
Rob said. I think Rob said you guys might come.
Rob invited me. You accidentally sent 2 rocket ships shooting at each other at the same table because I met Ted. I met Ted Cass last night.
Oh, Ted Clemens from Cass. Yeah,
Ted Clemens. Is that his name?
Yeah, Ted Clemens. But he's co-owner of Cass.
He's co-owner, right?
Yeah.
And him and I hit like a atom bomb going off.
Oh my gosh, his energy. He built my house.
The energy was on fire.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So it was a good time. Good. But your event was amazing. The community coming together and all the different wineries. It was awesome. And now understanding your story, coming all the way through all those things to now leading, before we move to the Pines, let's talk about just all those things that you had, and now you've been on all these teams. What do you think makes like a high functioning team? What do you think those key characteristics are? Whether it's your own team at the Wine Alliance, the groups that you've been around, what do you think makes just a high?
I think that for me, I mean, I think there's different answers to that question depending on how you lead. My leadership style is a lot of collaboration. I ask a lot of questions and I try and get buy-in. I mean, I'd love to build consensus. I think to the point where my team sometimes like, you can just make a decision, Joel, but I want to make sure everyone feels good about what we're doing. And if we're going to make a change at WineFest, I want to make sure the person who's going to be implementing those changes feels good about it. So collaboration, asking questions, listening a lot. I mean, you just listen to people who do that job. So I don't want to go into the events person and say, hey, we're going to change this up because I think it'd be better. When they say, well, actually, no, here's what happens on game day, Joel. This is that. So listening to people is huge for me. And then also, I'd love to do is just think about something from a different perspective. You know, when I'm about to write an email or make a decision, what would that person who's coming to it from a totally different perspective? If I just drove here from Los Angeles, I'd never been to Paso Robles. How would that email read to me, or how would this walking this event feel to me? So you got to make sure that you're thinking about people from different perspectives. Not like if I'm from Paso and I've been to this event 50 times. Like you want to make sure you wow them every time, right? So do you switch things up? Do you change where the entrance is? Do you change the parking situation, or all those things? You got to be thinking about just different perspectives.
And you shook up WineFest, right? You've done some different things and made it like a big part.
It was a big deal. I mean, that moving the WineFest out of the park was a huge deal, and people had tried to do over the years, and no one could do it. And so COVID helped us. I mean, in all transparency, COVID helped us do that. But we got big, and we went back to the event center, and it's a killer festival. I mean, we got 3,000 people down there, nice. 125 wineries. Again, big, medium, and small. They're all there. We got food in there. We got beer there even, and it's cool.
Yeah. Oh, and COVID didn't help you. I love it because you're like us, but I get to do it from the other side. Is like you saw an opportunity and you took advantage of COVID, right? Yeah. Because COVID could have also been an excuse to say, you know what, we can't really do this anymore, or we can't do it as big. We should shrink it. And instead, you said, this is an opportune time.
Exactly.
To turn the dial up on this thing and make it better.
Absolutely. I mean, there's obviously bad things happened during COVID, and we lost a lot of people, and we learned what to do, what not to do. But I just think there was so many opportunities that came out of COVID, and it changed the way people work. It changed the way people do events. It changed the way people kind of do things. And so we did the same thing at the Wine Alliance. And so we didn't lay anyone off. We leaned in and we became community advocates. We helped do the downtown dining thing where people could like go downtown and order a meal and sit outside. Like you had to lean in, and Paso was a great example of that. I mean, I don't like to use the word thrived, but I mean, Paso thrived during COVID because we also said, hey, we can still do stuff and we'll just do it outside. Like you guys have this beautiful outdoor space, and we have the downtown park, and every winery's got a crush pad and oak trees. And so we just did a lot of stuff outside, and people loved that. People wanted to leave.
People wanted to be out.
Yeah, they wanted to be out.
So after all that, we're moving to the pints. Frank takes grain and water and yeast and hops and makes beer, and his craft is he comes in at 4 a.m. and crushes it out for us and him and Blake. After all that, with all these jobs, what's your craft, man? What do you think is your
I think my craft really is connecting people and making sure connections happen to get to the next step, and whether that's marketing or whether that's putting on a great event or making sure that Paso's known for incredible Rhone wines or incredible Cabernet wines. Like just connecting the people who are going to tell those stories is a huge part of what I do. And I think I've been doing it since I was 10 years old, traveling around and making new friends. I mean, connecting the new guy who joins the Wine Alliance and who's, does label design, and then he needs new clients, or the new guy who joins the Wine Alliance who's an architect who designs wineries, and making sure they're talking to the right people. Making sure that Calcoast, when they join, say, hey, how can we get in front of other people? How can we use our event space? How can we do that? So I love that. I love connecting people. I do it in my day job, which is the Wine Country Alliance. I think I do it during my school board, which is my passion to give back to the community. Whether I did it on Paderewski Festival, like just connecting people is a huge part of what makes a successful person, I think, in my role.
How do you think, what builds connections? What do you think?
Well, I think
it's like it's abstract thing because you're so good at it. It's hard to explain it to people, huh?
For me, it's transparency. I think you know me, and you guys do. I mean, you kind of got to be an open book and tell people where you're coming from. And sometimes you may not be like what they're expecting, but you're like, man, I really want to help you on this project. I can't, and I can't do it right now. But let's connect in 6 months. And so people appreciate that. Other than be like, oh yeah, we'll get around to that, or just putting someone off. Like I think being really honest with people about what you can and can't do is a big part of that. And then also just being an eternal optimist. I mean, you got to be an optimist. I mean, you guys built a brewery,
Half
right?
full.
But yeah, it's like
Absolutely.
and I'm sure you guys had so many like things you came across of like that could have been problems that you said, well, let's just not build a brewery anymore, or we can't do this. But you guys are like, to me, two shining examples in the city who've done that. Of like, let's take an old auto shop.
It was a bit
next to a railroad track.
Yeah, this thing was crazy, huh? Yeah, it was. It's. And like we said, Mike Tozy, when he came in, you know, rest his soul, he is a great guy, gave us an opportunity. He said, the greatest sentence, well, I'll never forget, and Frank, is you guys created a gift for Paso. And I never would have thought this was possible. He told us that. I never would have thought this is possible. He thought that they would knock this down and make a hotel out of it, you know. And that's
to kind of make it an homage, which is great. I mean, you've done a great job, Russell next door with the beer garden,
the
like
backyard.
It's just because it still has this charm of like that used to be Chubby's Pizza. Mm-hmm. This used to be and it still has that. My dad grew up with that, and he could still come in and be like, oh, there's still everything. There's still a semblance of what was here. Yeah. Like the bones are here, but you guys have filled in like a new body around it, and like the community you guys have built has just been incredible. So no, it's cool to see. That's people, right?
Organic, yeah. It's the Cal Coast community. It just kind of comes together.
Do you think people come here for the beer or for the people?
Beer.
Both. But the people, the feel of a place, you could have the best beer, the best food, the best anything. And I don't know, it's kind of like what you were we were talking about with you, is like building a team. But when you walk into your favorite locations,
it all works, man.
There's just a feel.
It works.
Now
it's good,
but also
and the conversation's good.
It is. It is both, because also the opposite is true, and you know this. It's the results too, where like the winery can be beautiful, the marketing can be beautiful, but the execution. So if I sit down and everything is great and the people are as friendly as heck, but the food is horrible, the beer is horrible. Sure, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, and I might drop you $5, but I'm not coming back. And so you do need to meet all those requirements.
And you got to kind of almost set expectations. And hopefully, I think you guys do a good job at that. But most wineries who are exceptional do a good job of expectations. I mean, do you want to come in here and do like a seated tasting and do some education? Or you guys just here to have a glass of wine? Do you know the winery? Like understanding where that customer came from and what they want is so important, because if you come in there and you want to have like a business meeting and have a glass of wine, and someone keeps talking to you about where it was grown, you're like, I don't care where it was grown. I want to have a glass of wine and have a business meeting. You know,
you nailed it. So I'm that guy with Martha. Not that I don't respect wine, but I'm leaving the beer behind when I go to a winery. Give me a great bottle that you recommend. Open that bottle. I'm going to go sit at that table over there. I'm going to cause you no trouble. Right. And I'm just going to enjoy the beautiful scenery. I'm going to enjoy the day. I'm going to enjoy the people that I'm sitting with. And you, by the way, you don't even have to worry about coming to see me. I'll just come get another one, you know? And then you have the other people who want to know every detail of everything. Yeah. And you got to meet all those needs.
But you got to ask those questions. Like, hey, do you want me to come and check in, you guys? Cool, great. I'll come over every 20 minutes. Or can I tell you about this wine? Yeah, please. How is it made? And some people want that, but some people don't.
Yep.
But if you treated every single customer the same way, you wouldn't get you very far.
No. And your skill is people. So to keep on it, how do you invest in yourself? Like, how do you continue to be the best leader that you can be? Cool. You know, you have a lot of wineries counting on you.
I love to travel. And so I think that's one of the perks of the job a little bit, is I get to travel around the country, do some conferences. I get to pour wine for people, not only around the country, but around the globe. I mean, I'm actually going to Poland and Paris next week as part of the Wine Institute group. And so that's pretty neat, because we get to I'm taking like 8 brands, and we're gonna try to open Poland, you know, and there's only like two brands from Paso who are sold in Poland, and we're gonna try and double and triple that. So that's cool. And we've worked with the Wine Institute who are getting the right people in the room, like the wine buyers, the sommeliers, so we can teach them about what makes Paso special. Then we're gonna go to Wine Paris, and we're gonna have 8 or 10 brands with us there, to buyers from around Europe all fly in and try all these wines from around the world, and we really can tell that story of what makes Paso special. So travel fills my cup, and same thing, like, you know, learning about, you know, what drives teams, and I read a lot of books. You know, I love Scott Galloway, and just things like that, just that kind of get me thinking about leadership and motivation.
So one question I have in there is, That seems so intricate to me. Like for us, we just run this great little place and we live a mile away and Frank lives in Cayucas.
Yeah.
So what is, not without going on for hours, we want to get more wine in Poland.
Yeah.
That seems crazy to me.
I know. Well, it's cool because it's connected.
What are the pieces that are necessary?
you
like those, just you hit on some of those touch points.
Yeah, so you get the importers in the room. So we worked with Wine Institute, and they're going to have importers in the room who want to find new brands to bring to Poland. So you get the importers in the room. Then we're bringing the brands who said, I want to try and sell wine in Poland. And then we talk to Wine Institute who tell us, here's how you do it. Here's how you ship wine there. Here's the label requirements. Is there tax ramifications? Is there not? So it goes back to connection. So you get the importers in the room, the Wine Institute, the other brands who want to be there, and then do they connect and do they like those wines? So it's really about just making sure all that happens over the course of I'm only there 4 days, right? 2 days in Krakow, 2 days in Warsaw, but making sure all the right people are in that room. And then the cool thing is like you add on other events. And so in Warsaw, we're doing a consumer event. So people who don't even know about Paso Robles, but they're finding all these wine clubs, wine tasting clubs. We invited them. So they're going to come try all these wines from Paso Robles, and they don't even know where it is, right? Probably, right? They know it's in California somewhere. And then we're working with Bristol Hotel, which is really cool because Paderewski, which we didn't talk about a little bit, but Paderewski.
6 degrees of separation.
Yeah, so Paderewski,
give the background on that.
So Paderewski was a man who was the first prime minister of Poland. He was a famous composer and pianist. So he lived in Paso Robles on and off for about 20 years. And so he was probably behind Chopin, the most famous musician from Poland. And he founded a hotel in Warsaw called the Bristol Hotel, which is where we're having our event. You walk into the Bristol Hotel, and there's a big, huge statue of Paderewski, and we have a statue of Paderewski in downtown City Park. So the connection's really cool. So Epic Estate Wine, who is the winery on his old estate, is coming with us, and they're having this dinner with the dignitaries, because the cool thing about the Bristol Hotel is it actually sits next to the White House, the Poland White House, the White House. So we got some dignitaries coming over. It's just the whole thing's so cool. Like, and
so we're actually about to do a Paderewski Pale. I don't know how you can get our beer over there.
Yeah, we should. You should, absolutely.
Well, we can only take one barrel over, but what you just said, it's amazing how many people are working behind the scenes to make Paso a cool place, you know, in different areas. That's amazing. And bring it together. And then on top of that, you bring kids through the Paderewski. You do the festival here. Where is it? Is it still
It's always the first weekend in November, and it's every other year we do a exchange program where we bring kids from Poland and Ukraine to Paso Robles every other year, and they come here and they play, and they've played for the kids in Paso High. They put on a performance. We've been working with Corey over at Libretto doing the showcase down there. And then the other year, when we're not bringing kids from there, we take kids from the Central Coast and go to Poland.
And they go there.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Wow. Woo! Frank, what do you do in your off time?
Woo, none of that.
He sits on the beach in Cayucas. He's been watching it.
He makes good beer, though.
He makes great beer. Yes, he does. All right, so let's go to the possibilities. You're kind of hitting that. Yeah. You have a podcast of your own.
Yeah, we got a really cool podcast through Paso Wine called Where Wine Takes You. Work with Adam Montiel, who's just phenomenal, and you guys know Adam. I think
Adam's coming on. I talked him into it. He wasn't sure though, Frank. I had to talk him into it.
Good.
He kept like kind of going, and he's a smart dude. He knows I love him, and but he was kind of like, let me see if this is legit. I think he's such a good guy.
He did his homework.
He did his homework.
Good for him. Yeah, and he helped you guys. I think he maybe helped you guys from technology.
He did. Coached me up, gave us some stuff.
Adam's like you guys though, but he's inspiring, and he also just sees the good in all people. Like he emceed our thing last night. Like he just has a way with connecting, like using words to connect, and he can like puts into words the feeling of a room or the feeling of a region. So he's kind of like, we say, the unofficial voice of wine country is Adam, because he has our podcast.
And that was the first podcast in this area, or one of them, right?
Yeah, it was one of the first ones that like has taken off and have been successful.
It's a couple of years now, right? 3 years
we've had it
or
for
so?
3 years and 150 episodes, and he has all these stats he reads off of, like you can see how many people download it and everything. We're getting thousands of downloads, for every episode we do right now, and growing. So
they're in the top, which is hard to get.
Top
by the way,
1% of all podcasts globally, and there's a number you got.
Top 1% of the wine podcasts.
He said, think about it. There's over 3 million podcasts.
Yeah,
like.
Frank, we did the math. There's 200 million start in the beginning. People start podcasts. Of those 10%, it drops down to, is that right number? It drops to like a few 100,000. And then of that, people who make it past 20 episodes or right around there is the like 1% of that. Yeah.
Well, you guys are doing the right thing because you're being consistent. You guys have a formula, which I love. Like you emailed me, here's what we're going to talk about, and make sure you're ready. Like you can't, I mean, Joe Rogan's different because like he just comes on, people talk for 3 hours, but they're also famous people. So you have to have a hook,
There's
right?
a draw, yes.
Yeah. So you have a hook of like people who, you know, for better or for worse, are interesting or have a story to tell, and then what makes them tick, what makes them unique. Like you said, like we're a beer company with a podcast that doesn't talk about beer.
Doesn't talk about
I love
beer.
that. Yeah. And I met you guys through education. I met you guys both through the school district, which is so cool, and we've become friends since that. But it's like that's what's neat about Paso is you're not here like making this podcast about how am I going to sell more beer.
No, that's secondary. I think we just believe that, you know, and that's a part of who we are. Like you represent these smaller wineries is we don't have a multi-million-dollar bottling contract that we have to, which is stressful. Like we feel for those people. We chose to do this, and we're not also going to have a yacht in Morro Bay now, unless this podcast blows
Maybe in
up.
Cayucas though.
Yeah, in Cayucas.
Working on it.
Nice.
And so it's all kind of that stuff. But what's one of your favorite episodes from Where Wine Takes You?
There's some really good ones. There's actually a really good one. There's a couple of brands and people here who have done incredibly well in the wine space. So one is Justin Smith from Saxum and Matt Trevison from Lenny Coloto. And they're friends. They were college roommates, and they started that brand. And it's like this lore of like what actually happened. Like they started it together. Now there's two brands and how that happened. And there's a really cool story where they go on and tell the story of what happened. And so I love that because it really, I think people have to be like vulnerable and transparent. And I think people are willing to do that on our podcast. And you guys are doing that too. Like allowing people a space where you're going to ask the right questions, not in a place where you're trying to get something bad, but you just want to get like the story.
The story.
And I think I love that episode because it's like there's just a great story in there, you know? And so I love that. I also love the story. We had Toby James on. And Toby's stories are crazy because Tobin James is like a legendary brand and they've been here forever, but sometimes they're, that's just the party winery. But like they hear the story of how it started and how hard they work and how hard they work on their wines. And like to hear them and Lance and Claire, like there's great stories. So sometimes you think you have an image of what a winery is, then you spend like 45 minutes listening to a podcast and you're like, oh, I actually didn't have that story right in my head, but now I know what the story is. So that's what I like is when you hear an episode and it changes your mind or you learn something new. So that's my favorite thing about that story. So
straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
And the stories are permanent. You know what's cool is like it's out there and then you can just go back and
you can go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
So people say, oh, I listened to that story about, Maggie at Alta Colina or, how did Dow get here? And we had, so like you can go back. It's like an archive. Like you can hear from their mouth of what happened.
Legit.
Frankie, you've been chill on this episode, dude.
No,
Are you contemplating? Are you learning?
I'm learning a lot about wine.
Okay.
I love it.
But I do have a question, and I'm just going to address the elephant in the room. So the craft beer industry, State of the Union, like it's doom and gloom, right?
Yeah.
So help me understand the wine industry because we hear a lot about that. That's doom and gloom.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of that talk right now of doom and gloom, and certainly the wineries is I always use the word headwinds or challenges. Mm-hmm. It's definitely. I think the nice thing about Paso is we're a little bit isolated from that because it's not as bad as what you're hearing up in Sonoma and maybe over in the valley, and some places where it's really struggling. But visitation is down a little bit, and I think the shine's off a little bit of like the wine club thing of like I'm going to be a member of 8 wine clubs or 10 wine clubs. So there's a little bit of a I shouldn't say a little bit. There's a slowing down of wine, people buying wine, purchasing wine, and younger folks aren't drinking as much, right? They're doing other things. They're drinking cocktails. They're doing RTDs. They're drinking non-alcoholics. GLP-1 is a real thing. Like people who are just drinking less because they don't crave it. So there's less demand. But I think in Paso, I'm still optimistic about what that means. I think we might lose some brands and have some less wine here. But I think that's a time when people can lean in and sharpen their craft and make their experiences better, make their wine better, and make that tasting experience like a different level. So I think that to answer your question, like there's doom and gloom and we hear it, but at the same time we're leaning on doing new things, like making fun videos. Like we have this new video that talks about Paso Robles and we animated it, like and telling our voices to have a rock talk and an old vine and a grape.
It's about you would love it, Frank. It is. It's so simple and yet unique that it makes it complex. Like you're like, there was a lot of thought put behind this. I loved it. You can we show that?
Yeah,
or can we
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me.
We're launching that video next week. It's called Voices in the Vineyard. So being a little different and just trying to set yourself apart, because I think the part of the problem with wine, I think, is that everyone tries to play this thing of like it's elite, it's one of a kind, it's world class. Like everything's like so precious, and so Paso's done a pretty good job over the years of like being approachable and authentic. So that's what we're really leaning into. Where we kind of retweaked our marketing plan at the end of last year, and we're going to be launching the marketing plan this year of just like lean into fun, to experiences, to what makes Paso unique. Because there's a lot of places you go to wine country and it's the same, right? It's like great views, right?
Estate,
or great wines,
right? I'm sitting at a table, yeah.
Right? But what are the things you can do that you can't do anywhere else? You know, I mean, that's the cool thing. Is that you can go downtown, you can go to Tin City, like that's unique. You can go out to Estate. So we do have a variety of experiences, and we have a variety of wines here. So sometimes if you go to certain places, they're only going to get Pinot Noir, or Chardonnay, or Cabernet. Here, man, the sky's the limit. I mean, you see this like Italian varietals, and you got Cabernet, you got Rhones, you got all that stuff. So kind of like with you guys making a brewer, like you're not going to just focus on one type of beer here. I mean, I look at that board over there, I see like 12 different kinds of beer.
Lagers, Belgians,
and that's what you have to lean into, because
browns.
people they want different things. I mean, look, the wineries that are successful, they're offering different experiences and different types of wines.
Joel, you nailed that. Yeah. What was the breweries when breweries were on fire? What did the board look like? It was 25 IPAs. Yep. It was 25 IPAs and one light one, and we stuck with. Frankie loves it. You know, I'm not speaking for him, but he loves he loves the reds and the browns and the porters and the like historical beers, right?
Yeah.
Well, and my take on it is, and I'm nowhere close to doom and gloom, wine or beer is, you know how long wine's been around.
Yeah.
I know how long beer's been around.
Thousands.
We got a little swing in the pendulum, a little speed bump, and it's happened before. And the cool part about this is that opportunity now to, like you're saying, is the creativity.
Yeah.
Like, how do we tweak
creativity
it a little bit more?
and innovation? I agree. And that's the thing. I mean, Paso's had essentially a commercial wine industry since 1983, right?
Yeah.
It became an 83. That's 40
it's a baby.
years. Yeah. Like there's going to be swings. There's going to be ups and downs, and are we down? Absolutely, but it doesn't mean we're not going to come back.
Got a little stale for everybody, and now we're going to tweak it. And so I'm a firm believer.
No, thank you. Sky's the limit, right? I mean, same thing for you guys. Like and visitation maybe dip a little bit. It'll come back. We build great hotels here. There's great lodging opportunities. There's killer restaurants. Like the upside of Paso is so strong. There's so much cool stuff happening here. And
there's highly motivated people here that want to see it go.
Oh my gosh, everyone! Brett Butterfield, Sensario, like downtown,
beautiful things going. We had this coffee with the city manager this morning, coffee with Chris, and all the things getting built, the new roads, the bridges coming in. You know, just the infrastructure is second to none.
Yeah, we're in a good place here.
All right, take this back to your wine people. This is the informal survey of this area, and you know this because you lived it, and I'm not making you say yes, but a lot of our beer people, which beer is not supposed to be pretentious, beer is supposed to be affordable, approachable, all those things, they felt like there was a uptick in wine, and wine, you know, the locals kind of supported those wineries, and this is not a mark on anyone, and then they felt like they kind of got boxed out after, you know, a lot of the things we always heard is like, I have to, well, first of all, tastings were free. Not that they have to be free, but they were reasonable. They were free in the beginning. You know, I used to wear cowboy boots and have wine. And then there was a lot of local specials during the middle of the week. And then on top of that,
make an appointment.
After COVID, dude, you know, we didn't even talk about this. No. They forced people to make an appointment. And you know, if you're a local, like 4 people show up out of the blue and you're like, okay, cool, let's go see a winery. And they tell you can't come. Yeah. And so how you can navigate them back, because the beer industry is the same, by the way. If you think that your IPA is the shit and people want to hear about the different hops that went in there, those days are gone. Not because we're not good at what we do, not because wine is not good anymore, because the consumer's attention span, our guest's attention span is nil. It's nothing. It's
they grab their phone, they know about it before they even walk.
They know. They're experts. You know, I don't need you know, somebody to walk me through it. If I want to do it, I'll follow somebody who's an expert in it and do that. And so the new thing, what are you finding is the new customer now? The new
that's a good question. I think that part of it is just not being so pretentious about those things, not being so, you know, if you're a winery that needs to have, a sit down, a tasting, and a schedule and an appointment. That's one thing. But a lot of people have backed off of that, and so like, yeah, we'll take walk-ins. So people have gone away from that. And then they've also just gotten into the thing of like, when you walk in, what do you want? Hey, like we were talking about, do you want an experience? Do you want a tasting? Do you want a guided flight? Do you just want to have a glass of wine and go sit and look at the view? So really just meeting guests where they are is a huge part of that.
And Joel, aren't we talking about just returning to where they started? Right. Because I meet these old timers and the Mount Rushmore, better than me, but we see Toby all the time. His son works here and he's doing big things and getting ready to go run that. And we see Eberly and some of these guys, Jay and Jay Lore, and we see them. They were outlaws back in the day,
right? The
renegades. They were doing their own thing. And so returning to some of that, cool. I think will actually bring, it's kind of just going back home to nest.
Going back to kind of what worked and things, sometimes when things are really flush and you make a decision that, hey, this is gonna be great. We're gonna be, appointment only and those things. Sometimes it doesn't work. And you adjust, and you guys have to adjust. And so,
absolutely.
So that's the future. Adjust.
Possibility. So I know what do you think? Just leave us with a couple gems. The mindset that has carried you through to be successful and be where you are. What do you think has gotten you to this point?
A lot of good wine.
That helps. Hey, it takes a lot of beer, a lot of good beer, to make great wine. I hear that a lot.
It does. Great people in my life. I've got just really good friends who support and back me up. And whether it's a long night at the school board and people who text you and say thanks for doing that, or thanks for leading us through COVID. Like just a great team is a huge part of my success, and the team I work with. At the Wine Alliance and the directors who had the vision to I think like luck to hire me, but I'm also like the vision to hire me, and that's been really cool. And hopefully I've done a good job for those guys. So just giving people support is a huge part of that, and people who've hired me, but I probably wasn't ready to do things and gave me that responsibility. That's a huge part of, I think. And I try and do the same thing for other people. Hire people who then you give them the more responsibility. So
and they're scared.
Yeah, but that's okay to be scared.
But you're like, I got this.
And
you got this.
It's like the whole imposter syndrome thing, but it's kind of good to have, right?
Jake. That's Jake.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job. Yep.
Yeah.
Stepped up, and then you just keep him going, right?
So just doing that, and then just looking to see what's next. I mean, obviously, is it video? Is it podcasting? Is it this? Is it like just be looking to the future? Don't get going back to the previous conversation. Don't get stuck on one thing. Always be evolving. Always be changing.
You just stole Frank's final question. What's next?
Sorry.
Frank, what's your final question? Now that Joel took it.
Shoot, I don't. Yeah, God dang it. I got it. So I'm good on my.
He's good on his feet. Look at him.
I don't know. You got a legendary last name. We've learned about that, and we first met while you were on the board. And I will tell you, you're a board member that actually I truly feel, and there were a couple others that cared about kids because you did your homework and you asked the right questions.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that, and there should be a whole bunch of young men and women out there that appreciate that because of what you did for them. I also learned a lot about wine. Like, I feel like we're going to get out of this pendulum. We're going to be all right.
For sure.
Like, don't freak out, man.
Yeah.
The gas light's on. We'll refuel it and we'll keep going. And then congrats on the CEO. I don't think a lot of people know that you do not have to be good looking to be a CEO, because Rich is a CEO. But you do have to wear some pretty badass socks, gentlemen. I wore white socks, and I'm looking at yours, and I didn't know. So
these are the Working Genius socks. I paid $2,500 to be trained in this.
He's got some plaid socks.
These are $2,500 socks.
Wow.
Okay. So, but no, I've always respected you, and I appreciate it, and your family's great, and just everything you do. It's pretty impressive. What some of our podcast listeners don't understand is what you do for the community, what other people we've had in do for this community. And I know this place is super important, and your kiddos have some big shoes to fill if that's the route they want to go.
They're good kiddos, and they're going to do good things, man. They're awesome, two awesome girls, and they're off to college now. So
cool.
Life's good. No, I mean, I just think giving back is a huge part of what I do. That fills me up, and my people are always like, man, how are you on school board and this and that? It's like, I somehow find joy in it, right? Like it's frustrating. There's long meetings. There's people who come and
you're sick,
say nasty things to you. But I don't know. It does fill my cup a little bit. And
who would you rather be in charge of your girls' education than you?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah, shoot.
I'm just
there you go.
saying.
Yeah.
Frank's been praying over there. Luckily, he has Jen Gaviola
Yeah, exactly.
over there,
He's
so
gotta
he's
get-
doing
I got
all
Jen.
right.
I'm
gotta get
doing all right
something
with Jen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, we have good people here, and we didn't even talk about school board too much, but yeah, we can do that next episode. Next year, I'll come back on.
All right. Yeah, no, we have plenty of time, so
Yeah.
we'll get you back. All
Yeah.
right, man. We
Cheers, guys.
appreciate you. Cheers.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks for having me
it.
on.
Thanks for the
Yeah.
Frank,
education.
thanks for the roast.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.